Hello everyone, welcome to the Metal Galaxy YouTube channel where we bring gigs, interviews and much more into your living room. Here we are in the evening at EpicFest, second day with Twilight Force here, who really sung greatly about Dragon and much more. And with this interview we are getting to know the band. So welcome Twilight Force.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Can you introduce yourself?
I am Blackwall from Twilight Force, and I am the warlock of the band. And we're all, fantasy characters in our world of the Twilight Kingdoms. And we all have our purpose and our destiny within the Twilight Kingdoms. I happen to be the last crystal bearer, the keeper of the crystal of time.
Amazing. Great. So you're the crystal keeper. And what other characters are there in Twilight Force?
We have our wood elf Arandir, and we have our brave equestrian Alion, and we have a druid Born. We have a secret clandestine rogue assassin Lind, and our very mysterious drummer who is. No one really knows what kind of entity he is, but he's called Diash, and a very powerful, mysterious, multi-dimensional being.
Amazing, so a lot of characters fitting greatly in EpicFest. But before we discuss this, let's first discuss Twilight Force. Your music is about dragons. Why are you so keen on this creators?
Dragons are an important part of Twilight Force because they are such an integral part of the world. But besides that, dragons are they're a means to storytelling. There are so many grand and glorious fables and stories about legendary dragons throughout the history of the Twilight Kingdoms, so it's such a perfect topic to write songs about. And I suppose that is the reason, because they are the most majestic and magical and ancient beings that we know.
Certainly. And you bring Epic Symphonic Power Metal back, basically, to the Golden Age. Why did you feel the urge that it was much needed?
We felt back when we started, which was, Twilight Force originated in 2007, so it was quite a long time ago. But the first album came out in 2014, which is now, it celebrates its 10th anniversary this year, which is quite an accomplishment and something to celebrate. So, but we felt at the time that a lot of the albums that were out, the genre had stagnated somewhat. So the music that we enjoyed listening to ourselves, which was in the late 90s power metal, so to speak, had somewhat become slightly stale, and we wanted to infuse it with more magic, more awe-inspiring and inspiring melodies, and to, become more victorious. And the symphonic elements were just part of that, and to bring out the very, the magic, the sense of magic in the music. So to us it was a way to reignite that spark that we ourselves longed for, and that we wanted to hear when we listened back in 1998 or something. And then we, fast forward to 2014, what exists? So we felt we needed to reignite the spark. And I don't know if we did, but that was our intention. And that is the path we've taken, and the path we are still set on.
I would definitely say you did ignite, like here at EpicFest. Whoa, what a show! Like, you were storytelling, you were playing cool riffs, and so on. It was a story to be told, basically. And we enjoyed your show a lot. And with the storytelling and so on, you are much fantasy fitting into EpicFest. But what else can you say to us that you would say Twilight Force is such a great fit on this bill?
I mean, this was probably one of the better fits we have ever experienced, because it is a 100% power metal festival. And I don't think we've ever experienced something like that unless there's been our own shows, for example. So for us, it's the absolute perfect environment for us to thrive in, and we could see and connect with the audience in a fantastic way. And it was just a majestic thing to see, and everyone was so into it, and that brings joy to us, and that brings more power to our storytelling, and you feel that back and forth, and it is just a marvelous sight to behold.
And
So.
yeah, EpicFest is going strong with this, as indeed there is no other power metal fans come together. I believe it's a golden heaven. And before we zoom into further into Twilight Force, let's go do something random. When you are going to, if you would die tomorrow, a bit grim, but what would you do? What would be the last thing?
That escalated quickly.
That's what random questions are for.
What would I do if I would die tomorrow? I would try. There are so many things. So many things I would like to do, and time is of the essence. So what would I do?
24 hours.
24 hours. Someone might say, I want to experience the world. I want to travel everywhere. I don't think so. I would like to have a nice, quiet evening at home, maybe, with my loved ones. Or perhaps quickly and swiftly release as much of the unreleased music that I have sitting so that it doesn't die with me. Maybe that's something.
Awesome. So, back to Twilight Force, to the happy times. So, Twilight Force, when we were watching your show, you have great riffs, like very quick solos, and then the lightning is quite fast. So how do you think, what makes the lightning so great, and how do you think the lightning aspect is essential of bringing your music alive?
I mean, we're trying to do everything. We want everything to be. So we used to say, if we turn back time a little bit, you'd say a lot of bands would say, our next album is going to be heavier and darker. And we wanted to go the opposite direction. So we're trying to say, we want to go lighter, faster. We want to tune up our guitars to make everything sound jollier and happier and more inspiring. Because that is the type of music that we grew up with and that we learned to love ourselves. So for us, it is a sense of, adventure and uplifting spirits that we want to achieve, and that requires a certain fast tempos and I wouldn't say the music, some people would just call the music like Disney-like or happy sounding. I would more say that it's an adventurous, like victorious sound. Like if you listen to old movie scores and something, there's always a sense of adventure. There's always like a triumphant feeling. And that's what we're after, not really necessarily the happy stuff. There's still a lot of minor chords and a somber feel to some of the music, but put into its context, I suppose, you have a lot of bells and whistles and so forth, and that will induce a sense of, you will associate it with happiness and joy. But
we saw though in the audience dragons flying and people cheering.
Of course, yes. Music should bring joy. That is,
and bringing joy. There were stories as well to be told. There were pauses in the audience, and the audience needed magically open up the portal or the dragon. So I'm wondering, how do you Twilight Force balance the storytelling, so the talking part, but as well the music part? How do you find the balance?
I mean, music is always, I would say, the most important part. Music comes first, and with the music, when we write music, I would say we write a song and we get a sense. What does this song want to tell? Is it a quest for a magic sword, or is it an adventure riding on the back of a dragon, or is it the story of an ancient king that brought prosperity to the kingdom? So those are things you have to take into consideration when you write the music.
And that makes Twilight Force so great when you see your live. And talking about Twilight Force, so today when we saw you on stage, you had this You had like the keyboardist there. It was quite spacey. Any special reasons to not use any decor, but use the space of the stage to your advantage?
Well, I mean, in the best of worlds, we would have a live dragon and an entire castle on stage. But for a show like this, it is quite logistically a feat to pull something like that off. So, but in general, I feel like playing on big stages with a lot of room leaves a lot of room to run around and interact with the audience and interact with each other. And let the music speak for itself, and you have, the vista of the backdrop and all that. That's the most important part. But then, of course, if we could get a real dragon, or
that would be amazing.
Or bring horses. Actually, for one of our first shows ever, we did have a band of orcs on stage that we battled, and that was unfortunately a one-time occurrence. So we'll see what happens in the future. But
they got so badly hurt.
We obviously killed them, banished them to the dark realms.
So no more orcs.
No more orcs. Not those orcs. Well, maybe we can find a band of ogres.
Nice. So keep an eye out. So Twilight Force, they debuted their first video with Nuclear Blast. Like it was a cooperation with Rhapsody of Fire and Sabaton. So I'm wondering, how did these two bands? Why did you pick these two bands for your video to work with your music, and how do you think they ignited Twilight Force?
Did we work with Sabaton and Rhapsody of Fire?
Yeah.
We had for our first album and our second album, we had Joachim from Sabaton, who is a good friend of us. He did some guest performance vocals. And also Fabio Leone from Rhapsody did guest vocals. Was in the So I mean, Joachim Bredén is older. The whole band of Sabaton is great old friends. We're from the same small Swedish town, and we've known them for so long, and it just felt natural. And Joachim's voice is such a powerful, recognizable, force of nature. So we felt it was only it just fitted so well to put in a few select places in our music. And for what goes for Fabio, that was at the time, this was back in 2015, I believe. That we really wanted to connect with that we spoke about earlier, the golden age of power metal. And we grew up listening to the old Rhapsody, the first Rhapsody albums, and Fabio Leone was such an integral part of that.
Certainly.
So it was an honor, for us to be able to infuse him into our music in a certain part. So.
And actually, Rhapsody of Fire, like last year, they were one of the headliners, if I'm not mistaken, on EpicFest. So it's like they started EpicFest and now Twilight Force. So it's quite nice to see how power metal and this epicness of stories is evolving. And
everything is intertwined.
Exactly.
Everyone knows everyone.
And as every dragon, we need to fly away as we are at the end of the interview. But any last words on Twilight Force or anything you would like to mention that we haven't?
Well, we are really looking forward. 2024 is going to be a quite extraordinarily interesting year. We are going on our first US tour with Glory Hammer.
Whoa.
Yes, very interesting. We're also playing US Prog Power this fall, and we're also coming out with a comprehensive world-building site where people can read about all the lore and all the stories and everything surrounding the Twilight Kingdoms, something that has been missing for a long time. And the scholars have been working hard to fulfill this world and fill it with content and articles and interesting stories so that people can feel that there is a more comprehensive storyline and world surrounding Twilight Force. So we have a lot coming out this year, and I'm really looking forward to start off 2024 like this.
Thank you so much for sharing this instance for our audience. Follow Twilight Force as they're coming with new stuff as well. Like and subscribe as we have regular new content, and we would like Twilight Force. Thank you so much for joining here at EpicFest in your tight schedule, and have a great day and see you all.
It's my pleasure. Thank you all. My pleasure.